Mark Santiago here, and welcome to the Empowered AF podcast, where each episode we share powerful strategies to help you communicate, act, and lead like an empowered man. Thanks for joining me. What is up, guys? We are going to talk about the idea of getting out of your own fucking way. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of us, when we're in these positions of needing help or being in pain, we have a really hard time trusting other people to help us get there. It'd be like you getting shot and going to the emergency room, and you're on the gurney, and the ER doctor is like, well, what happened? And you're like, I'm not telling you. And they're like, well, tell me where it hurts. I'm not telling you. And they see the wound and they see the blood coming out, and they're like, oh my gosh, we've got to do this. And you're like, no, don't do that. That would hurt too much. Because when you're in pain and you're going through something traumatic, like every single one of you, the about 800 people in this group right now are going through, that's a lot of guys. That's a lot of pain. It's a lot that you're going through right now. The thing is you have to get out of your own way. If you're in that ER and you're in that situation, and this doctor who's trained, who has years of experience, is trying to help you get better, you can't get in the way. You have to get out of the way. And a lot of you are getting in your own way. You're stopping what is possible for you because you are so focused on the fear. You're so focused on the bullshit in your life. You can't make decisions. You just can't get out of your way. And so I talk to a lot of you all the time, and it's always interesting to me on when a guy comes into our program, the difference between somebody who invests himself and comes in the program versus somebody who just kind of sits on the fence. You know, they kind of come to the free information things, and they just kind of hang out, and they're like, yeah, this is good. You know, I'm scratching my itch a little bit. I'm getting some information. But they don't ever really change. Like, nothing really transforms in their life. So I want to talk about what makes our clients actually successful and what you can learn from them. Obviously, we have, case study videos that are in the group, and we're about to produce a whole bunch more. We got a bunch of guys that are graduating that we want to get them in the group and share their story. So look for those coming up soon this week or so. All kinds of great things coming. So here's the thing. So number one, here's one of the things, the top thing, or not top thing, the first thing that they do that is different from a lot of you is they make a decision to level up for themselves, not their wives. So when they're investing in the program, when they're investing in themselves, when they're working on their skills of articulation and confidence and boundaries and communication and all these things, when they're doing that, they're not doing it for their wife. They're not doing it to save their marriage. They're doing it for themselves. In fact, one of the things that we do on this, in this idea, right, is that we want to make sure that you are not in this program to save something. Because if you're in it to save something, you're automatically from the mindset of lack, and you're automatically coming at it from the mindset of, I don't have what it takes, I don't know, I'm fearful, I'm doubtful, all these things, versus coming into it from a confidence place, coming at it from a strength place, and you can actually say, hey, look, I'm here for myself. I'm here to make this better for me, no matter what happens. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, their hope is in the present and the future, not the past. So a lot of you are still living in the past. You're still living down memory lane. You're still remembering and reminiscing on all the good stuff that happened, and you're not focused on the present, and you're definitely not focused on your future. One of the questions I ask all the time when I'm on the phone with a potential client is, where do you see yourself in the next 90 days to 6 months? And the reason I ask that is because I want to know, does this man have any perspective of a future that is hopefully with his wife, but may not be with his wife? Why? Because we can't control what she does. We cannot control whether or not she comes back to the marriage. What we can control is what we do, where we invest, how we spend our time. That's what we can actually control. So if your hope is not in the past, if your hope is in the future, in the present, you're in a good place. But if you're still hoping about the past, if you're still reminiscing about the past, if you're still living in the past and she's moved on or she's moved out or she says, I don't love you anymore, your marriage is dead. It's dead. That doesn't mean it can't be revived, but the marriage you had, the past you had is dead. And it's time to let the dead bury the dead and move on. It's time to move on. It doesn't mean you move on from the marriage. It doesn't mean you move on from her, but you move on from the past. And you get really present right now. And you decide, I'm going to create a future that is worth living. I'm going to stop crying like a baby and just like taking everything like a victim. And I'm going to decide today I'm going to rise up and be a victor because that is who I am. Because I am a man created for greatness, that I'm not some little pussy boy who's just here to take a beating from somebody who doesn't love him anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that you give up on the wife. That doesn't mean you give up on the marriage. What it means is you give up on the old marriage and you create a vision or a future for a future marriage. And you hope that when you look at that future and you imagine a new wedding, that the woman under the veil is your old wife, or is your wife. But she can't be old either. She has to make moves. She has to make changes that determine whether or not you can be successful. Because if she doesn't make those things, you can't have a successful marriage. I call bullshit on every ad I see out there right now that is saying it only takes one to save a marriage. That is absolute fucking bullshit. It pisses me off. I would troll those ads if I was that kind of person, but I don't have time to do that. I got to serve clients. Right now, we're at 27 clients. I've got to serve all of those guys and make sure that they are being fed and delivered the goods that they need to continue to grow and become empowered men. That's what we're in this for. Because look, even a genie will tell you, I can't save your marriage because I can't make someone fall in love with you. The only thing I could do is help you create a vision and a future where she goes, fuck, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that. But if she doesn't, if she says, you know what, I don't want to be a part of that, then that's on her. That's not on you. If you're making the changes, then damn it, you just keep making those changes. And you keep growing through all of this. And you will come out the other side an empowered man. All right, the next one. Here's another thing that my clients do, is they own their decision to invest in themselves and they don't shy away from it. This is huge, huge. Because we ask that question about investment. It's not just financial, it is emotional investment as well. But financial investment is a big piece of it. You know, I did that teaching the other day on being a good provider. And it's because many of you, maybe you even make decent money, but your provision in your investment mindset is off completely. Like you'll spend $5,000 on tickets to football games. You'll spend $1,000 on a TV. You'll spend $30,000 on a car, but you won't invest in yourself. What does that say? What does that say about who you are as a man and what you care about in terms of your marriage and your future and your children? My clients, they own their decision and they're like, you know what? I've got to invest in me, and they don't shy away from it. They know it's a stretch. They know it's hard. They know it's not easy, but they're willing to do it because they see the return, because they believe in themselves. The next one, they do it afraid. Guys, no one comes into my program and is like 100% like they're not afraid at all. No, they are afraid. They know that this is going to be hard. Especially when you get about midway through, and some of my clients are on this call right now could tell you about midway through, shit gets real. And some of this stuff gets really hard because we press you and we push you and we prod you to become empowered men. And the journey and the process it takes, it's initiation. I think it's there's an African tribe, I can't remember the name of it, but basically to become a man in that tribe, around teenage years, I think it's like 12, 13, 14 or something, they send you out into the wilderness and you can't come back to the tribe until you've killed a lion. Now, somebody fact check me on that to make sure it's exactly true, but I've heard that a million times. That has always stuck with me. It's like, wow, these guys believe in themselves this much and they believe in their young men that much to say, hey, you're not a man until you go out and kill a lion. Some of you need to go through this process to become a man. Because you haven't been initiated in shit. You live a comfortable life. You make good money. You eat popcorn all day, whatever the fuck you do, right? You're soft. And there's nothing emotionally hard about you. And then there's guys that do really work out and they're strong physically. But again, emotionally, are you strong? Emotionally, are you willing to lean into the pain and the fear because you're willing to do this? Here's the next thing they do. They're willing to do whatever it takes to create leverage in their life. Guys, coming into a program like this is about creating leverage for your life. It's not just about spending money or time on something. It's about leverage for your future. We leverage things to get what we need now quicker, right? It's like if you go to buy a car, most of the time you're not going to spend $30K cash. If you go to buy a house, most of the time you're not going to spend $200,000 cash. Some of you are because that's what you do. There's a couple guys in here, real estate investors. But most people, to buy their house, they're going to put a down payment and they're going to mortgage the rest of it. That's called creating leverage so that they can take the cash they have now. Instead of putting it all in their house, they put a small portion down and they keep the rest of their cash so they can leverage it, so they can use it in other areas of their life. That's the same concept when you become a client of the Empowered Man VIP program, is you're creating leverage for your future. You're creating leverage for your life because we're going to help you get places now quicker in 8 weeks or less than you could ever do on your own. Maybe to take you 6 months, maybe to take you 6 years. Some guys could never get there without the help that we offer. Next thing they do is they realize doing it on your own is a recipe for disaster. These guys realize, why would I do this on my own? Why not have somebody in my corner with a game plan that's actually been there, done that? Not some guy who read about it in a book, but somebody who actually has lived through this shit and can actually understand what I'm feeling right now. That is the way our program is designed, because I lived it, breathed it, ate it for 17 years. I fucking understand this stuff like nobody's business. And I've come through the other side of it. I'm on the light side of this. And I understand what it takes to move through this. I understand the gut-wrenching, emotional hardship of the shit that we are in right now. The next thing they do is they get out of their own fucking way. They just get out of their way. I have guys that we talk to who second guess everything about themselves. They'll say 1 second, like, yeah, I got to do this. And next thing, no, I can't because of this. And like, they just constantly are second guessing themselves because they don't believe anything about themselves because they don't trust themselves. They feel like they've made bad decisions in the past. And so they take those bad decisions into the present and into the future. And they have absolute zero trust for themselves. Let me tell you, you cannot move forward unless you make a choice to get out of your own fucking way. That is the only way possible for you to move forward. The guy that just jumped on, I won't call him out. I'll just say somebody jumped on just a second ago who we were just chatting yesterday, and he originally applied for a call with us, and he said, hey, it's her fault, basically. It's her fault. And as he's gotten into this, he's realized, holy shit, there are things I've got to work on me. You're damn right. We all do. We all do. Every one of us are part of the problem. Every one of us are part of the breakdown. No matter what she does, no matter what she's doing, you could be the greatest husband in the world, but you are not perfect. Stop being so fucking self-righteous and think, well, I didn't cheat. I didn't do this. That doesn't mean shit. You created an environment potentially. I don't know your full story, but there are things you did, things you allowed to happen. It didn't cause her to cheat. That's not the breakdown we're talking about. The breakdown we're talking about is in the emotional connection between you and her. That is what I'm talking about. Now, what she does and how she chooses to respond to that, that's her deal. You didn't cause that. It's not your fault. I will never say that's your fault. What I will say is what your fault is the relationship you had that you led and how you led and the atmosphere that you created. The next thing is they are teachable. Guys, our most successful clients are teachable. If I'm on a phone call with you and I can hear you and you're just talking and talking and talking and I'll ask you questions and you make excuses constantly, let me tell you, you're not teachable. And if you're not teachable, you ain't ready. The best guys that come in here, guys, I've got really successful guys. I've got multimillionaires in my client base. And they know the reason they're successful is not because they're so smart. They realize they're successful because they put other smart people around them who are smarter than them in certain areas of life. And they have humility about them that makes them teachable. I don't want to brag on some of these guys because they'd be embarrassed that I'm putting them out there. So I won't tell. I will let them share their stories someday in a case study video. But man, I've got some amazing guys that are on this right now and that are in our group that are just like, they're super successful in life, but they realize they have to be teachable. They realize they cannot do this shit on their own, and they would rather go through life with a partner, with another guy, with another group of men that are saying, you know what? It's worth going through with other people because I wasn't designed to be alone. None of us were made to be without other people. That's why we love connection. That's why you're in this group 800 deep, because you love people. Even if you're an introvert, you love people. We all need people in our life. All right, the next one. I don't even know what number I'm on. They take their future seriously. Holy cow. This is huge. This is huge because a lot of you are not taking your future seriously. You're thinking in the here and now. You're so myopic, so focused on now. You are missing the bigger picture. You're missing the future you. All you can think about is your pain, right? It's just like if I were to come up to you and take a knife and just cut your arm or slice you somewhere, immediately your brain goes right to that. And immediately your brain is going, I've got to stop the bleeding. I've got to stop the bleeding. I've got to stop this. And that's all you focus on. But you got to get that patched up quick. You got to triage that bitch quick. So way you can back up and realize there's a future beyond this. Eventually, this is going to heal. Eventually, I'm going to have a life. You can't escape you. You can never escape you. Your wife can try to escape you and she can get away and she can divorce you. Your kids can move away from you. Your grandparents, your parents, everybody can get away from you except you. And guys, that is one of the most uncomfortable feelings ever. Because once we realize we can't escape us, we have to face the music. We have to look into the mirror and go, I don't like what I see, and here's what needs to change. So a lot of us don't. We don't. Client just jumped on. He's got questions all the time as we deep dive in this journey that we're on. And he's like, holy cow, I never thought about these things. These are things I never realized about myself. And he wouldn't have gotten that on his own. We don't get this stuff on our own. You've got to take your future seriously. Your future may not be with your wife, and that would suck. And I don't want that for you. I want your wife to come back. I want it to work out if it's meant to be. If it's meant to be. Because you know what? Sometimes there's so much dysfunction. Sometimes it's impossible. But you've got to take your future seriously. Your kids are depending on you. Your future self is depending on you right now. Guys, you have no idea where 10 years from now you're going to be. You could be in a totally different relationship, or you could be in the same relationship that is now completely revived and completely different. You have no idea where you're going to be. You've got to take your future seriously. It's the same thing with investing, right? The longer you wait to invest, the less money you're going to have in the future, right? The longer you wait to invest, the less money you're going to have in the future. So it's better to invest yesterday. So I always say the best time to invest in yourself was yesterday. The next best time to invest in yourself is today, is right now, in this moment. Do not wait. Do not wait. Do not wait. You must invest in yourself now. Guys who invest in themselves now are taking their future seriously because they're like, it's not about just the pain. It's not about just getting over stuff. It's about, you know what? I'm going to create a future for myself, and I want my wife to join me in that future. Because that's what she's craving, guys. She's craving leadership. She's craving a vision. She's craving a future that she never even thought was possible. And she's waiting for you to put that out into the atmosphere and say, babe, I've got a future, and I'm going in this direction. I would love for you to join me in this direction. I would love for you to join me in this future. But I understand if that's not for you, that's not for you. Guys, that is sexy to a woman. The confidence and leadership in a man is sexy to a woman. She sees that and says, oh my gosh. She either wants to be a part of it or she flees from it because it's calling her to something greater. This is the key here. See, the way, the life you choose to live right now and where you take yourself up, where you go, I'm going to level up. I'm going to stop living this base life. I'm going to level up. And once I level up, I'm now calling everybody else around me to live at a different and higher level because I have level of expectation around me. You ever notice you've been around somebody who's a, maybe a political figure or a celebrity or something like that? They just have this aura around them. They just have this thing around them where it raises expectations of people around them. And the reason for that is because they live at a different level than most of our society. And guys, you can do that right now in your life. You can say, I'm going to make choices right now to be cognizant of my future and to say the future Mark is going to do this. These are the kinds of things the future Mike or Matt or Fred or Alex is going to do and be. And so therefore, I'm going to pull the future into today. Just because you're not, whether it's a multimillionaire or you're not super successful in your job, or just because your marriage isn't great, doesn't mean you can't pull the future into today by the way you treat yourself and the way you allow other people to treat you and be. The next thing, they don't make excuses. They stop making excuses and they realize in order for me to live successfully, I must stop making excuses. I must stop blaming her. I must stop blaming the kids. I must stop blaming COVID or the finances or Black Lives Matter. I must stop blaming everybody except for me. I take extreme ownership. Extreme ownership, guys. That means that whatever happens is my fault. Now, I get it. There are certain things in life that, natural disasters and things like that. But for the most part, the things that what I have today is my fault. So the successes I have today are my fault, just as much as the failures I have today are my fault. And none of us are perfect in this. We are all working toward. I've got plenty of areas of weakness in my life. I'm not the guru who's going to stand up and act like I've got all my shit together and everything's perfect in my life. That's impossible. Anybody that does that is full of shit, and they're trying to project an image that's false because they have I'll just say they have you probably know what I was going to say. They have a small personality. No, they're covering up for something, right? If we can't be honest about our weaknesses, if we can't be honest with our future, like I know an area for me I've got to work on continuously is my health. I've got to continuously strive to be better in my health. And I'm making decisions to do that. I'm taking my future seriously because I want a future with my kids. I want them to see me every day. And that's real talk, man. That is real talk. That is gut-wrenching. It's hard, but it's the reality of it. And so I've got to put other people around me that can call me to account and challenge me to grow in those areas that I'm weak. I don't want to make excuses. I decided a long time ago, I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to live an excuse-filled life because that ain't productive. It ain't going to get me anywhere. And finally, this, guys, they make a decision to move forward and they don't vacillate in that decision. You got to make a decision one way or the other. A lot of times, I'm on a call with a guy and I will push for a decision. It's not that I'm trying to sell him, because I don't believe in selling anybody. I want somebody in. I don't want them out. But that push is to say, you know what? You've either got to make the decision now, or you got to delay the decision and say, you know what? This isn't for me, and that's fine. That's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I get told no all the time. It's fine. What I want, though, is for you to be clear for yourself and for your life of who I want to be and where I want to go. And is this the thing that's going to help me get there? And if that's the thing, guys, if this is you and you're challenged by this and you're like, man, I want to raise up to this. I want to be challenged by Mark. I want to be challenged by that team, the Empowered Man team. I want to live like that with passion and purpose and fullness and making empowered decisions and not shirking my responsibilities and not making excuses, doing it afraid, being hopeful about my present and my future. If that is you, I will invite you into a conversation with our team. I'm going to drop the link below, but you can go to empoweredman.co/book to book a time with our team to talk about what is going on, to get you clarity, to help you make that decision. Is now the right time to jump into something that's going to help propel you, or do you need to wait? Totally fine if you need to wait. I'd much rather have that conversation now. We have guys all the time. We'll have a conversation. They're not ready. 2 months later, they hop in because then they're ready. Sometimes some of you just need to get acclimated to me in the group. You need to see a little bit more about the genuineness of what's in here, because this is not a guru-led group, meaning that I'm not famous. Maybe I will be someday, but right now I'm not. Nobody knows who I am other than you guys in here and the clients that we have that we're connecting with consistently on a regular basis. If that's you, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to pick up your own cross, your own shield, your own gauntlet, whatever it is that you've thrown down. And I want you to pick it up and say, you know what? It's time to make a decision for myself. I want my wife. I want to be married, all those things, but it's time for me to own my stuff. It's time for me to learn how to communicate like a leader. It's time for me to learn how to set boundaries that demand respect. It's time for me to own my own shit. It's time for me to really, really understand what I value in life and who I want to be. And it's time for me to become creating a vision of me 2.0, because I guarantee you, if you've been married for any period of time, you have any type of kids, you have gotten lost in yourself. You have lost yourself. You have lost your way, and you don't know who the fuck you are anymore. Men, I can help you find that. I can help you find that. If you're willing to do the work, we can help you do those things. But you got to be willing to do the work. You've got to be willing to step up to the plate and be teachable, be humble, be ready to get out of your own fucking way. So if you're ready to get out of your fucking way, I'm going to drop a link below. Connect with us. Let's get on a call with us, and let's go from there. I'll see you guys. Hey, if what you heard today really resonated with you and you want to connect with me, then here's what I want you to do. Pull out your phone right now and go to empoweredman.co/group. That's empoweredman.co, not com.co/group. So you can join our free Facebook group and connect with me there. We also have a ton of free content and trainings in that group to help you when you join. So until then, this is Mark signing off on Empowered AF.